Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm going to start recording the class, and I've got the agenda ready to go. So here is our plan for today. I'm just about to share my screen. All right. Optimizing for sound and video, and welcome to my screen. All right, here we are. So today it is Thursday. One thing I should mention, tomorrow, will there be any class at all? That's a question.
No.
Absolutely not. So yes, tomorrow it's a holiday. So it's Passover, Good Friday, all that stuff. And the Boston Public Schools are closed. So our school is closed as well. So enjoy your time off. So, and you'll have plenty of time to catch up on any missing assignments. So what we're going to do first, I'm going to do a syllabus vocab review with this game, Taboo, because that was some important vocabulary I want to stick with everybody, even though we've moved on to the next lesson. We're going to do an anonymous peer review of some of the more recent assignments. I haven't graded them all, but I've graded some. Then I'm going to go over some vocabulary for the story we are reading and listening to now, titled Anna in Somalia. There's lots of new vocabulary. It's a very complicated story, so we're going to take it slow. But Gracie, can you share with us your thoughts on the story that we're reading and listening to now?
This is our podcast.
Yeah. Tell us what you think about it. Just what you told me when you just joined.
It's interesting story. It's fantastic. I think I want to read also Anna Karenina after that, I think.
Okay, so I wanted that to encourage everybody. So even though there's a lot of new vocabulary, and it's a really complicated story, I don't want to scare you. Gracie got into the story last night in the evening class, and she loves it. So it's a fantastic story. So thank you, Gracie. We'll return to these two historical figures and figure out how they become main characters in the story. Then we'll take our break. Oh, I forgot to write her name. And we'll look at the two other main characters, Muhammad and Ismahan. This is the young couple that get married in the beginning of the story, and we'll analyze what their situation is. That's exactly where I left off the class last night. So what's going on with Muhammad and Ismahan? Then we'll finish up doing a little podcast scene analysis. And I've taken a screenshot of two of the sections of the story where you have two speakers explaining what's going on. That's a screenshot of the transcript, so we can read and listen at the same time. And that's where we'll finish. All right, any questions as we move ahead? No questions, let's keep it moving. All right. So, syllabus vocab review. Last week, I gave everybody an asynchronous assignment, which was right here. Okay, so this was it. That's the screenshot of the slide I gave everybody with a little video and all of these different words and phrases that you need to know to start college in the US. So what is a syllabus? I'm not going to go over this. A syllabus, it's an outline of a course that you take. Now, I'm going to, these different words that we went over last week, I'm going to give you a definition, and one of you will guess the right answer. So it's one of these right here. So I'm going to put the definition in the chat. I'll say it out loud and I'll put the definition in the chat. And I'll need a volunteer to go first. One of you will guess the correct answer. It's one of these words up here. Let me see who is here right now, who just arrived. Claudia, you want to be first?
I can try.
Okay, so I'm gonna put the definition in the chat and I'll say it out loud as well, so you can read and listen. The time that professors are available to give students extra help. The time that professors are available to give students extra help. Which one is it? And if you need help, ask your classmates for help.
Teaching assistant?
No, nope. You can read it again in the chat. It's not a person. Teaching assistant is a person. The time that professors are available to give students extra help.
Oh, Andres say office hour.
Office hours is correct. Ding, ding, ding. Yes. Okay. That's office hours. So everybody, when you read your syllabus and you want to know when you can reach out to your professor to get extra help, to explain something, look at their office hours. It'll be like, Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 3 to 5 or something like that. Okay. All right. Gladys, who would you like to go next? Choose another student. Choose somebody with their camera off and their microphone off to wake them up.
Monica.
Monica, that's Sonic. All right. Monica, are you ready?
I don't know,
Okay.
teacher.
Well, I haven't even given you the word yet. Okay. The combination of letters and numbers to look up a class in the school catalog. Okay. A combination of letters and numbers to look up a class in the school catalog. For instance, Mabel talked about English 111. That was ENG 111. A combination of letters and numbers to look up a class in a school catalog. And you can ask for help if you need. Monica, go for it.
I need help.
I think it's a course code.
Was that Fatima?
Yes.
Absolutely correct, Fatima. It is course code. I see Lauren has just joined us. Welcome. All right. Oh, Andres Perez, you actually gave the right answer in the chat. Nice work. Nice work. Okay. The right answer for the previous question. I just realized that. So next up, here we go. This would receive a grade of 0. Oh, whoops. Who's next? Monica, who do you want to go next? You can choose anybody.
Jackie?
Jackie, are you ready? Okay, I'm writing it in the chat and I'm saying it out loud. This would receive a grade of 0. This would receive a grade of 0.
You want help?
Take the help, Jackie. Take the help. I think Fatima's. Maybe you can send her the answer in the chat.
Okay.
This would receive a grade of 0.
Academic misconduct.
Close, very close.
Oh, penalties.
Getting
Missed.
close. Getting close. Keep trying.
Missed test assignment.
Well, Fatima, that's a good guess, Fatima. You just put that in the chat, but, oh wait, that's the correct answer. Missed tests and assignments. Missed tests.
Missed.
So that's why the word grade is in there. You get graded on your tests and your assignments. And if you don't complete one, it's just a 0. So that's why it would receive a grade or 0. It's tricky because that's not a penalty and it's not academic misconduct. That's why I said close, but it's missed tests and assignments. Okay. I'm going to ask students who just joined a minute ago. Lauren, how you feeling? How's it going?
Hi, Mr.
All right. So you can see we're playing a little vocabulary review game.
What are we doing? What are we doing in this class?
All right. So one of these words this is vocabulary from last week. One of these, I will give you a definition and you're going to try to guess the correct definition. Are you ready?
I don't know.
Okay, don't worry. If you don't know the answer, just say, I need help, and then everybody can help you, okay?
Oh, okay.
All right. A document written by the professor given at the beginning of the course. A document written by the professor given at the beginning of the course. It's one of these words up here on the screen. If you don't know, give it a shot, ask for help.
Mm,
If you need help, say, I need help. Oops,
I think I
somebody
need
fed
help.
you the answer. Look in the chat. Somebody just fed you the answer. That's correct. That is the correct answer. All right, we're going to do one more. We're going to do one more. Okay. I'm going to pick somebody at random. Bibiana, how you feeling?
Hello, good morning.
Morning. All right.
What is the answer, teacher? Syllable?
The syllabus was the answer,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so here's the last one. I'm going to send this one to Bibiana. Here we go. A teacher who helps the professor. A teacher who helps the professor.
Teaching assistant.
There you go. There you go. Yes. So if you're taking a big class with, 60 to 70 people in a big lecture hall, there's too many students to interact with a professor, you'll have interactions with a teaching assistant, which is probably a graduate student. All right, so these are words you want to keep in your brain as we move along, but this was last week's vocabulary. We're going to move ahead with today's agenda. Now we're going to do an anonymous peer review. I've looked at lots of different submissions from the previous assignment that was due 2 days ago, so Tuesday. So last night we peer reviewed these two in the evening class. We're going to start by reviewing, let's see, actually not this one. We're going to review this one. All right, we have not done a review of this one. This is anonymous. Who remembers what the word anonymous means?
You don't say the name of the author.
Different meanings?
Exactly. So if this is your writing, do not say, ooh, that's mine, that's mine. Or if you see a lot of mistakes, don't say, and you know it's your friends, don't say, oh, wow, you messed up. So keep it anonymous. Nobody say the name of the writer. So let's do this together. Do we have a volunteer reader?
I can do it.
Go for it, Jackie.
My biggest challenge studying in America will be how difficult is it to study while raising children and working. Sometimes in free time, I just want to rest, but it is necessary to learn the language of the country where you live, to have a good job, communicate it with others, go to the hospital by yourself, and especially for my daughter, because one of my priorities is to be always available for her homework when she needs me.
Excellent. So last time we looked at clarity because some of the writing, it was a little unclear what the writer was saying. I don't think we have a big problem with clarity here. It's pretty clear what the writer's talking about, but there is a very common issue, and I've never introduced it in class before. So everybody take a look. Your teachers will tell you in the margins of the paper, this is a run-on sentence. So imagine, I'm going to draw a little picture. Imagine somebody running. It's just running away. Running and running and running. Like running in the Boston Marathon, just running. Just running on and on and on. All right, so that's a hint. It's called a run-on sentence. What should we do to give a few suggestions to the writer to make it a little better? Take your time, everybody. I realize this picture I drew looks more like falling than running, but you get the idea.
Challenge?
Say more,
No.
Monica.
Challenge?
Say more,
No.
Monica.
Challenge. You no listen, me teacher?
No, you're just saying one word. I'm asking you to make a complete sentence because I don't know what you're saying, Monica. Make a complete sentence when you're, what do you want the writer to do? Don't shout one word at a time. Make a whole sentence, please. Okay, Bibiana just put an interesting suggestion in the chat. Let's give it a shot. So we have right here a mix-up of past and present tense. Here we go. I just want to rest, but it is necessary to learn the language of the country where you live. So I'm giving a hint right there. There's a little confusion right here. I, first person, I, but you, as in speaking to the reader or anyone else. But then Monica, Bibiana suggested, let's cut off the D. Communicated is past tense, and we're talking about present tense. To live and have a good job, communicate with others. So yes, that's much better. We don't want to say communicated because that's past tense. We're talking about in present continuous. All right, so nice suggestion. Bibiana, Monica, keep going. What was the suggestion you wanted to give? You said challenge. What do you want to change? Okay, I gave everybody a hint. Who can tell me what this means? It's a run-on sentence. Okay, everybody.
The sentence is too long.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Will
No,
be better use period and start new sentence.
everybody. I do this a lot in writing classes. I haven't done it yet this semester. I would like everyone, absolutely everybody, give me a definition of a sentence. What is a sentence? Please write it in the chat. What is a sentence? Sounds like it's a simple question, but it's not. Who can tell me what is a sentence?
My biggest challenge to in America.
What is a sentence? Please write it in the chat. So everybody, write in the chat your definition of a sentence. Let's get on the same page. Okay, we got one. I want to hear from everybody. Explain what is a sentence. And I will give everyone the specific definition, the exact definition. I'll just say, I'll use the Webster's Dictionary definition. Once we got everybody in the chat. Here we go. What's a sentence? So I want to hear this from everybody. All right. Okay, so we've heard from Bibiana, Fatima, Leticia, Marcella. Okay, I'm going to call you by name. Give me a definition of a sentence. Calling everybody by name. Let's hear it from Andres, Gracie, Clary. Wait, did Clary already give it to me? What is a sentence? Lauren, please write in the chat. What is a sentence? Franertes, I need a definition of a sentence. Okay. Good job, Monica, Lauren, Jackie, Fraternities. Okay, I think we got everybody. Oh, wait, we are missing Andres. You still there?
Yeah,
Okay,
but I'm not sure.
try your best. Okay, ready or not, here's the definition. All right. Okay, so fraternities, Jackie, and yeah, fraternities and Jackie, you nailed it. That's the definition. That's the precise definition. If you look in the WhatsApp group, you have the elongated definition from Webster's dictionary. So essentially it's a clause. A clause has subject and verb agreement or subject predicate agreement. And I'll give you a definition of a sentence like this. So a sentence has an independent clause. Here is a sentence. Subject verb agreement. Got it. No problem. This is not a sentence. What's wrong?
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make a bit of sense. Why?
Because it's incomplete sentence.
Exactly. So it's missing is an incomplete sentence. It's missing the subject predicate agreement. We have no, I close, so we have an action. So there's the verb. We don't know close what? Close the door, close the window. So this is what's called an incomplete sentence, or also known as a sentence fragment. Fragment. It's a little piece of something. So it's a piece of something, but not the whole thing. So when we write, we want to write in complete sentences. Now, what we're looking at, it's the opposite problem. It's not a sentence fragment, it's a run-on sentence, which means perhaps there's 3 or 4 clauses together that should be broken up into individual sentences. Who wants to give it a shot? This is a long run-on sentence, and we want to break it up into individual clauses. You could do that by putting a period at the end and starting again with a capital letter, or you could have a sentence with 2 clauses by using, if you look on your keyboard to the right of the L, you'll see your semicolon. That's this. So in the computer class, I teach the typing. Your right pinky finger goes on the semicolon key. So for instance, if I want to make 2 clauses, my biggest challenge studying in America will be how difficult it is to study while raising children and working. And I turn that comma into a semicolon. Sometimes in my free time, I'll just want to rest. Period. So that's one thing you can do. You can take a semicolon and make a long sentence with 2 clauses. It'll be difficult to study and raise children, semicolon. Sometimes I'm tired and I want to rest. So that could be one sentence with 2 clauses. Or I can just break it up into 2 sentences. I could just put the period here, capital S, sometimes I just want to rest. In my free time, I just want to rest. And then I would start a new sentence here. So there's many things you can do. There's not one right answer. Reading and writing is an art, not a science. There's not a single right answer. So let's work together. We've got a long run-on sentence. Who can give me a suggestion how to break all these different clauses up into individual sentences? Let's give it a shot. Welcome, Doris. So we're doing an anonymous peer review right now. And this is a definition of a run-on sentence. So we're trying to break up this long sentence into multiple sentences.
Can I try, teacher?
Yes, Claudia, go for it.
My biggest challenge studying in America will be how difficult it is to study while raising children and working, period.
Okay, there we go, period, good. And then?
Okay.
Did everybody see what I did right here?
Yeah, capital
So,
S.
yeah, many of you forget to put the capital S at the beginning of a sentence. So sometimes
In free times, I just want to rest, but it's necessary to learn the language of the country where I live.
good,
To have a good job, communicate with others,
good.
go to
Present
the
tense.
hospital by myself.
Excellent. First person, beautiful, Claudia.
Period.
Nice.
Okay. One of my priorities
I'm gonna switch to text here. One of my priorities
is learn English
is to learn
to be always available for my daughter.
To be always available. Okay, yes, that's switching the sentence. I'm going to move it down
Yeah.
here. Yeah. Same meaning, I think, sort of. English to be available for my daughter. Yes.
When she needs me with her homework.
When she needs me with her homework. All right. So yeah, we could do that. That is an independent clause. One of my priorities is to learn English to be available for my daughter when she needs me with her homework. I think you added something. I'm not sure if the writer originally meant to say learn English to help her with her homework. Maybe not, but it still looks like it's pretty much the same story. But now it is no longer a run-on sentence. We have 3 separate clauses, 3 individual sentences, and this makes a very clear paragraph. Claudia, you did it. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Does everybody see how Claudia recognized the individual clauses? That's a sentence, period. Capital letter. That's a sentence, period, capital letter, not just typing and say, oh, look how much English I wrote. I must be finished. So good work, Claudia. Practice, practice. And one great way to practice writing in complete sentences is reading. The more you read, the more you'll intuitively recognize when you have made a complete sentence. So let's do some reading before we take a break. Yes. Oh, we're making excellent time. All right. Welcome, Doris. How you feeling?
Hi, teacher. Not very well, then.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Okay, so this was another one. Maybe we'll do that one another day. Okay, so yes, just to let's see. So what we went over in the last 2 classes, we don't have to do this again, but this is where we're gonna pick up where we left off. Students who were with us who was in the evening class last night that are here right now, I'm gonna have you take the lead on this one. So it's kind of like recalling what we went over last night. I introduced this Tuesday morning, and we really went deep into the connection between these 2 historical figures in the story last night. But Gracie and Bibiana are a little bit ahead of the game. So I'm going to call on either Gracie or Bibiana and ask the question here. So Syed Bar, he's the military dictator, Somalia, 1980s. Leo Tolstoy, famous Russian writer, 1880s. They weren't even alive at the same time. How are these 2 main characters in this story that we're reading? How in the world are these 2 guys connected to this story? Crazy story, but beautiful story at the same time. Tragic as well. Gracie or Bibiana, who wants to take it? This is the question from last night.
Can I think.
Yes, Gracie, give it to us. Go for it.
They both influence the life of one person. It's not one person, teacher. I would say 2 persons because the doctor is included there. I don't know, but we're talking about, they
Yeah.
one.
Oh, don't talk about the doctor. The doctor's later in the story.
Okay.
Gracie likes the story so much she's read way ahead. Gracie can teach the whole class now for the next two weeks or something. But okay, but let's stick to these 2. Okay.
Okay. Short idea. They both influence in the life of someone in the story.
Yes. All right. Or we might say 2. So both Syed Bar and Leo Tolstoy influenced the life of a person in the story.
Yes.
Do you remember his name?
Mohammed.
Yeah.
But not remember their last name.
Yeah. Mohammed Barund, I think is his name. And his wife's name? Ismahan.
Yes.
Both of these historical figures completely transformed the lives of two of the other main characters, Muhammad and Ismahan, ordinary people. How did that? Oh, wait, I think there's something in the chat. Oh, yes, Bibiana said Muhammad and his wife. So yes, so Muhammad and Ismahan, they're just 2 ordinary Somalis, young couple in their 20s. They get married and their lives are changed forever by these 2 historical figures. How in the world did that happen? Keep going, Gracie.
By the book.
Well, that's half the answer to the question. So this guy writes a book and it changes the life of this guy, Muhammad.
This guy, how can I say, they sent to the jail someone and
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this guy sends Muhammad to prison. for the rest of his life.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Now let's try it again. Let's start with the military dictator, Syed Bar, sends Muhammad to prison. And then what
Yes,
happened?
and the other men saved their life by his story.
Syed Bar, military dictator, sends Muhammad Barund to prison for the rest of his life. Bibiana, fill in some details for everybody.
Okay, so Mohammed was trying to help some people in the hospital, and because of the dictator, he take him and put him into jail. And then Mohammed was missing his wife, and he was thinking about her all the time. How is she? What is she doing? Is she thinking about me? And then someone started to knock in the door, and every knock was a letter. So he read with the knocks, Anna Karenina, and that's one of the books from Leo Tolstoy. And then Mohammed started thinking more in his wife because of the book. The book saved his life.
You're actually answering the question that I'm going to ask at the end of the class today. So if everybody can remember what Bibiana said by next week, if I say, okay, what did Bibiana say on Thursday morning at 10:49, you'll have the answer to the question. So Bibiana, you're also ahead. So Gracie and Bibiana, you two could teach the class. It's perfect. So, but let's start with the basics. Muhammad is sent to prison because he tried to help some people, and that made this dictator very angry. And it wasn't, there's more details in that we'll go over in the reading now. So let's just say this dictator, he's super angry at Muhammad, and he decides to take him, put him in prison for the rest of his life. While he's in prison, he's going to lose his mind. He's a young man, he doesn't know what he's gonna do, and he's got the rest of his life to stare at a wall. Can you imagine, in a tiny little, he's in what's called solitary confinement. He's looking at a wall, and he's going to lose his mind. His mind is in a dark place. He's gonna go, and he's never gonna come back. And he is now out of prison. He was in there for, several decades in solitary confinement. He's now a very functioning individual. He can talk, carry a conversation. He's not like a crazy homeless guy running around murdering people. He is a functioning individual who can talk about his time in prison. And he says that he was able to keep his mind intact by reading this book. So that's how these two historical figures connect. And it's a wild story. And let's get into it. So we have vocabulary. This is going to be a little bit of a review where also, this is the video I sent to everybody yesterday. It's a short summary of the whole podcast. But the vocabulary right here, I'm just going to go for the first column. Everybody follow me with the pronunciation. So everybody, let's turn the microphones on, please. Microphones, unless there's a child screaming behind you. Here we go. Listen and repeat. Cultural Renaissance.
Cultural
Renaissance.
Beautiful. Communist rule.
Community group.
Communities rule.
Tapes.
Mixtape.
Independence movement.
Independence
movement.
Desperate.
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 Bedding.
Bedding.
Warrant.
Warrant.
Blindfolded.
Blindfolded.
Forbidden.
Forbidden.
Whisper.
Whisper.
Sentenced to life.
Sentence to life.
Okay, we've got a few minutes before the break. I gave you this vocabulary list yesterday. A few of you have a head start. Any questions about these vocabulary words? Last night I drew a picture of a mixtape. I'm not going to do that here, but if you're my age, a mixtape is a cassette you buy at a store, and you can record songs, your favorite songs on it, and listen to it.
Yeah.
These days, music is less tangible. You stream and you download and you share files of what you want to listen to. But the mixtape, it's a physical tape, cassette that you fast forward and rewind. I'm holding it in my hand for a mixtape. Any of these words, anybody have a question about? Throw the question out there and we'll give you the definition.
Desperate when you feel afraid and when you don't have control in your feelings.
Yeah, desperate. It's like you'll do anything. Desperate.
Teacher, what is blindfolded?
Beautiful, beautiful. If I cover my eyes with something. So when Muhammad, the police came to Muhammad's house, he was blindfolded. Do you see what I'm pantomiming it? Blindfolded. The police blindfolded him and they handcuffed him and took him away. Blindfolded.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Everybody throw it out, throw the questions out there. Otherwise, I'll assume you understand everything. Yeah, the more you capture now, the more you'll understand the story we read together. Cultural Renaissance, beautiful. Gracie, you want to give the definition for this one?
Yes, it's cultural movement. It's a movement that is related with creativity and artists in the different countries.
Perfect definition. So whenever a country is got a burst of creativity, it's going through a cultural renaissance. Many individual cities are famous for cultural renaissances at different times.
Yes.
In this country, the 1920s was considered the Harlem Renaissance, and that's one district of New York City, where a bunch of great music and great literature, a tremendous pouring of creativity was coming from one section of one city. Paris was going through a renaissance at the same time. And here in this story, the city of Mogadishu in Somalia was experiencing a cultural renaissance in 1981. So everybody, I'm not going to ask the question, but Somalia, it's considered the Horn of Africa. It's East Africa, next door to Ethiopia, and it is a border country just across the Arabian Peninsula. So it was experiencing a cultural renaissance in the 1980s. That's the beginning of the story. Any more vocab before we begin? We could take a break after this, or I think everybody's dying to hear the beginning of the story.
Teacher, independence movement.
Independence movement. Good, Fatima. All right. So
I want to ask about my daughter. She was crying. That's why I didn't want.
No problem. No problem. All right. So independence movement. Bibiana, you want to take this one?
Okay, as I remember, it is when a group of people get organized to fight against a dictator.
It could very well be. Yeah, that would qualify as an independent movement. It could be nonviolent. It could be violent, nonviolent. That's inconsequential of this definition. But essentially, where you have one form of control over the political system and a movement to overturn that control. So the word independence, it's usually a relationship to colonial rule, but not in this case. Colonial, like for instance, in the night, since we're in the context of Africa, usually an independence movement is a movement for self-governing, governing against a foreign, which in usually European control, but not here. In this case, you have Syed Barre, who's a military dictator, and he's enforcing strict communist rule on the country. And there are people unhappy with that leadership. So there's a movement away from the strict central government's centralized power. I think I made it more complicated. Basically,
I got it. Thank you.
go for it.
Yeah, I said I got it. Thank you.
Okay, but basically,
serious movement, right?
yeah,
Someone took serious movement, like serious, like decision, something like that.
Yeah. So you have people in the city, a lot of young creative professionals who don't like the dictator, Syed Barre, and when they express themselves about how unhappy they are with the government, they're part of a growing independence movement.
Thank you so much, teacher.
No problem. Any more questions? Blindfolded, whisper, forbidden, warrant. Any more of these words on the left column? Don't worry about the right column. We'll get into that next week. Bibiana, good word. That's you want to say this, but it's it wouldn't work in this context because we're not talking about colonial rule.
Yeah, I mean it is an example for us. So we are like used to the word. Maybe decolonize is a little bit easier.
Yes, like in your part of the world, like the word independence movement, if we say the name Simon Bolivar, independence movement. Dominicans, we associate independence movements with Pablo Duarte. Or for Haitians, the Toussaint Louverture. These like iconic figures are associated with independence movements related to colonial foreign control. This is not foreign control. It's domestic. It's a Somali dictator. So it's Africans getting independence from other Africans, not foreigners, if that makes sense. So that's why it's a complicated story. It's people who don't like the government and want to change the government. That's how it's used in this context of this story. Anyway, shall we move on? Oh, guess what? It's 11 o'clock. Let's take a break. Take a break, everybody. I'm going to put the 10-minute timer on the screen. Here we go. Okay, everybody, take a break. Okay, so we're back after the break, and I've just opened up the story from the Google Classroom page. There it is, Anna in Somalia. We are reading and listening at the same time. So it is a podcast, you can listen to it, but I've given you the transcript for you to follow along. I recommend reading and listening side by side. Everything you don't understand, you return to it, you find new words, you'll see the vocabulary words. The more you listen, the more you read, the better you will understand. Okay, let's begin.
Blindfolded, handcuffed.
Before Mohammed went to prison were the best 6 months of his life. Before Mohammed went to prison were the best 6 months of his life. He'd landed this great job managing a Pepsi plant, and he'd found true love on his first date.
Did everybody, can everybody hear?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, so this is a beautiful beginning to the story. The 6 months before Muhammad went to prison were the best 6 months of his life.
The 6 months before Mohammed went to prison were the best 6 months of his life. He'd landed this great job managing a Pepsi plant, and he'd found true love on his first date.
We went to a small restaurant near where we live.
Her name was Ismahan, 20 years old, a teller at a state bank.
And we were talking, and shyly, of course, she was very shy, and we realized that we wanted to get married.
That's it, love at first sight, sort of.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Mohammed said he was just so struck by how generous she was and smart, and they connected about everything from the future of their country to the music they liked. Whatever images the word Somalia calls to mind, the Somalia where Mohammed lived was in a cultural renaissance. This was 1981. It was under communist rule. And the dictator, he was a dictator, but he was also a big fan of Somali culture and music. Music was actually a big part of how Mohammed courted Ismahan. He made her mixtapes. This was the 80s.
She was into songs and stuff like that. Yeah.
Did you sing or did she sing?
Oh, she's a better singer.
So a few months after Mohammed and Ismahan got married, Mohammed got a phone call from the director of the local public hospital.
Would you please help me bring some donations from the communities?
He was desperate for donations.
For medicine and for bedding, in fact.
That music-loving dictator, his name was Siad Barre, he'd cut off supplies to the hospital in retaliation for an independence movement in the region. The doctor had been calling all his friends in secret.
Yeah, we were talking all the time.
Saying, you work for Pepsi, you have connections, you know people, can we raise the money discreetly, ourselves? But Mohammed wanted to go big.
I suppose maybe I wanted to share my happiness.
What do you mean by share your happiness?
Contribute, because there were other people who were less fortunate than us.
Mohammed was in that stage of new love when you just kind of think the world is full of good feeling, and if everybody knew what was going on, they would do the right thing. And he takes this bold and pretty risky move. He writes a letter.
Some kind of newsletter.
About the hospital conditions.
Yes, and telling the conditions of the country.
Essentially implying that the dictator is not doing right by us, and we got to step up ourselves. A couple weeks later, Mohammed and Ismahan heard a knock on their door in the middle of the night.
National security people. They don't have no warrant or anything like that. They just said, we need to take him. And I could see her, my wife, and I remember her in her eyes.
What was in her eyes?
Love, but also terror.
Mohammed is accused of treason and sentenced to life in solitary confinement.
Blindfolded, handcuffed, and sent to a cell.
And this is where the story really begins. Mohammed's cell is tiny, maybe 6 feet by 6 feet, concrete walls, hole in the floor for a toilet, and a window high up that lets in just a little bit of light.
So there it is. All right. Now, you can see a lot of those new vocab words in what we just listened to and following along with on the screen. But here's the first question. So there they are. The story's real. They're real people. That's Mohammed and Ismahan. Now, who could tell me why Muhammad was sent to prison? The answer is actually right here.
Because he was trying to help people in the hospital.
Yeah, he
But he
conformed to the
published
government.
something.
Because he shared the govern issues, right, to the newsletter. He shared.
He conformed to the government.
Can I
What did he
too?
do? Yeah, whoever. Yep. Go for
I
it.
think that he make a letter and he let the world to know what will happen then in that country.
Yes, and specifically what everybody else is saying, the hospitals did not have any more bedding, no sheets, basically hospitals had no supplies. So it's a communist rule. That means government controls hospitals, they're not independently funded. Hospitals are quietly trying to get supplies. He has a pretty good job, she has a pretty good job. So they could try to raise money to get hospitals, medicine and bedding and supplies they need. Why would the government cut off supplies to hospitals? There's a growing independence movement in the city of Mogadishu. So a lot of people are making noise about how they don't like the dictator. So the dictator decides to cut off supplies to the local hospitals to calm the independence movement. So he writes, he makes his opinion known about the conditions in the hospitals. And he makes himself, who knows what I'm going to draw this picture right here. Okay. He turns himself into this. What am I drawing?
Target.
Yeah, he makes himself a target. So yeah, he had a pretty good life. He had a good job. Ishmahan had a pretty good life and a good job. They were young. They had bright futures ahead of them. The question I put here is this. If Muhammad didn't publish his newsletter criticizing the government and the condition of the local hospitals, he would not have gone to prison. That's the only reason. He published a newsletter making himself a target. So the police took him away and he was never heard from again. They made him disappear. So why would he do this? Why would he make himself a target and give up everything? For what reason would he do this? That's a question that you're going to discuss in breakout rooms. So I'm going to put Gracie in one breakout room, Bibiana in the next, so because you two are most familiar with the story. All right, let's do 2 breakout rooms. Here we go. The question, why did he do it? If he didn't publish that newsletter, he would not have gone to prison. Why did he do it? What did it solve? What was the reason? Okay, so we got Gracie in room 1, Bibiana in room 2. Everybody join your breakout room. I'm going to jump in. I want to hear talking. Join your breakout rooms now. recording. So if you were Ishmahan in this situation, how would you feel?
Sad and angry.
Tell us more, Clarice. Sad and angry.
If, well,
Frustrating.
responding your question, if my husband do it, you know, I will feel it like that because basically he's sacrificing our family.
Yeah, what exactly was he sacrificing the family for and their future?
Because he's going to the jail.
Yeah, but for what reason exactly? What is the purpose? What's going on in this man's head?
It's frustrating because the government maybe hurt the community, but you say something and you go to prison for that, you know?
Yeah, it's frustrating.
It's frustrating, yeah.
It's frustrating. But what if you were Ishmahan and your husband decided to criticize the government and gets locked up? Claudia said sad and angry. Any more emotions?
Afraid.
Deceptionated would be here, but
I think I heard Doris and Gracie. Gracie, go ahead, then Doris. Gracie,
deceptionated. It's a deceptionated feeling.
Deceived, like deceived.
Love and also terror, said in the test, teacher.
Tell us more fraternities.
She's love and his eyes, you can see the love in terror, also terror. You know, horror, like scare.
Scared. Oh, yes. Oh, that's actually from the story. Yeah, he said,
Yes.
The last time he saw her, he says, I could see love and terror in her eyes. So imagine, yeah, your husband is taken away in the middle of the night, blindfolded, never to be seen again. Goodbye, the end. They make him disappear. And it's because he did it to himself. He wrote this letter criticizing the government. Doris, what are you thinking?
I think I feel if him is my husband, I feel afraid because I don't know where I go to try to help him, and I don't know what help with my life too, because it's about government. You need to find a way to trust in someone because you don't know what happened to you. Sorry.
No problem.
I think because when you talk about the government is a dictator, you don't know where you go because someone to maybe work with the government, you don't know where you go, who trust.
Who was it that said deceived? This is interesting. Who said deceived? Was that Monica or Fraternities who said deceived? No, that was Gracie. Gracie, you said deceived. Why deceived? Wait, where'd Gracie go?
I said deceptionated.
Deception. Who?
Yes.
Okay, well, where's the deception?
It's like that is the feeling that if she doesn't expect that he would do that like that. I think she would be agree because she's also a smart woman and like him, but maybe if as a woman you would expect something different, but maybe step by step, not like,
No,
taking
Maybe the session with the laws.
no with
Well,
the letter.
like who is doing the deception? Do you feel deceived by Muhammad, or like
by the
for instance,
attitude, by his attitude.
for instance, like, okay, we just got married. If you're going to go to prison for the rest of your life, you could have told me that you were going to do this, and I and I wouldn't
Yes,
have
you were
married you.
supposed to tell me, let's do something, let's prepare, because teacher,
Some
I
political figure tell me first, and we don't get married, okay? But
no, maybe if they are similar feeling and similar interests, they can do, but with better planning, make a planning, let's do this to collaborate with the community, let's help, but it was a kind of, okay, let's do that. For example, the doctor knew he would be at the jail, but he never expected to go to the jail.
the doctor is going to come into the story in just a moment. I'm going to end class today. We're introducing the next character in the story, who is the doctor. But first, Bibiana, you had some interesting ideas. Can you share?
Well, I think if he was my husband, of course, at the beginning, almost all the time, I'm going to be worried. I'm going to be afraid. I'm going to think what's going to happen to him. But also I'm going to admire him. And that can tell a lot about who I get married, because he's a good person. Because even though he knew that he was going to sacrifice me and the love that he feels for me, he did it because he cared to other people. He cares that everyone else needs to know about what's going on in the government. So I think, yes, I'm going to admire him.
Okay. I'm gonna conjugate the word admire. So Bibiana said, you know what? I would admire him for being sent to prison for the rest of his life. Is it admirable to be sent to prison for criticizing the government? We don't know. Let's just leave that there, because we're gonna see the next part of the story. So the next question. All right, Muhammad and Ismahan. Early in their marriage, Muhammad is sent to prison, and Ismahan doesn't know what happens to him. She has no idea. There's no, we call it in this country, due process. She's never told where she can visit him. She's never told anything about him. This is a country that doesn't operate on the rule of law in any context. You have somebody in power calling the shots. That's Syed Bar. You criticize Syed Bar, he makes you disappear. The end. She has no idea where he is. She doesn't know if he's alive. She doesn't know if he is dead. What's going to happen? Is she going to move on without him? Is she going to get married to somebody else? Is she going to, they've only been together 6 months. Is she going to erase him from her memory? Is she going to make noise and join this independence movement and get herself sent to prison? Is she going to start some kind of campaign? Where is Muhammad? Get my husband out. What's going to happen here? What do you think they're going to do?
Maybe she made a campaign for the government.
So she's going to make herself a target too, just like Muhammad. Any other ideas?
Or maybe she moved to another country.
Leave the country. Okay.
Yeah.
Leave the country. Another idea.
Maybe try to take him out, but underneath. I don't know how to say it, like in secret.
We're gonna it's gonna be like that. We're gonna have the TV show Prison Break.
Exactly, something like that. Yes.
Prison Break. Okay.
Or,
All right.
or maybe she was creating her own movement to help with to the independence the country.
Okay, she's gonna get him out, or she's gonna do something.
Teacher, my
Yeah,
question
Francis,
is, in that moment, the women has voice.
Beautiful question. Excellent.
Maybe
Excellent
no.
question. Franity's just asked a brilliant question. What are her rights as a woman in this time and place? Great question.
Yes, because if the women the women don't have a voice, maybe I don't know. Maybe she doesn't anything. Maybe it's only she's waiting for him.
No, maybe
Okay.
she do her life and maybe she get married again. Or
But
maybe she put it a lawyer. I don't know.
in a dictator, I don't think that no one can have voice, man or woman. No one can have voice. It's just that the dictator said.
Yeah, I did tell you. Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay, so this is exactly the way you want to be reading and thinking and listening as we move forward. Now, I'm going to finish today entering a new character. The new character is the doctor. The doctor is the new character.
Okay.
Now, we're going to enter a new character, the doctor. So now the doctor is locked up, and he also was quietly trying to raise awareness about the conditions in the hospital. But he's locked up side by side. There's a wall separating Muhammad and the doctor. He hears Muhammad is a young man locked away for the rest of his life, and he's going crazy. He's banging on the walls, talking to himself, and the doctor's side by side. Now, we know that this book comes into play. Tolstoy's book, Anna Karenina, becomes the tool to keep Muhammad from losing his mind. Now, we know he's going to read the book, and he's not going to go crazy. That's how he's interviewed for the story. We know that. But here's the problem. Muhammad does not have the book in his cell. How does he read the book if he doesn't have a book in his cell? So if you know the answer, don't say it. Everybody else, think about it. He's somehow going to read this book, and he doesn't have it in his hands. How is he going to read this book if he doesn't have it? That's what we're going to find out. So next part of the story, introduce the doctor.
It's very dark, and cockroaches come from the toilet. Cockroaches, and they will
Is tiny, maybe 6 feet by 6 feet, concrete walls, hole in the floor for a toilet, and a window high up that lets in just a little bit of light.
It's very dark, and cockroaches come from the toilet. Cockroaches, and they will fly off the wall towards you and excrement with their feet. So
on their feet would be excrement from the toilet.
Yeah, yes.
After the cockroaches come the rats and the mice and the mosquitoes.
The noise of the mosquitoes. Oh, like an engine, jet engine.
But even worse than that sound
Meow.
is the buzzing in his own mind. Because in this prison, there is one rule.
It was strictly forbidden to talk to your neighbors.
He's forbidden to speak to the other inmates.
So you walk forward and backward.
Pacing back and forth.
And this is a tiny place to walk back and forth. 3 short steps.
So like 3 short steps forward, 3 short steps backward, 3 short steps forward.
Yes.
So that is his life now. Until one day, he hears a knock on the wall. And that knock becomes words from another time and another place.
All happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way.
This is
Moment for that book.
In this episode, the story of a story translated across time and space and culture and a concrete wall that saved a man's life.
I should build a monument for that book.
One book that changed everything. When Rough Translation returns.
I'm gonna leave it right here. The doctor is the person who knocked. He hears Muhammad going crazy. And somehow in the story, Muhammad is not going to go crazy. He's going to continue living his life, understanding where he is and what's going on, functioning as an adult. And he's going to read this book, but he's not allowed to talk to neighbors. And he doesn't even have the book in his hands. So as you read and as you listen, how is Muhammad going to keep from losing his mind? And how is he going to read a book if he doesn't even have a book in his hands? That's it. See you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Hi.
Bye.